Hi guys, in this lesson I want to talk about 3-note 7th chords voicings, which is a way to get 3-note chords with the notes close to each other to get a cluster-like sound on the guitar. Chords with second intervals in them are sort of nice sounds to use, but on a guitar, because the notes close to each other are close in terms of frets, but they're kind of difficult to put into chords because you need to stretch quite a lot if you want to have them sounding at the same time. So one way to deal with that is to take your standard 7th chord voicings and then just leave out one note and play 3 of the 4 notes, and then see in what ways you can sort of use those and how you can use these incomplete chords in different situations and still get a good sounding progression. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this lesson. You can leave out any of the 4 notes, of course, and I single out for this part just 2 of them where you get chord voicings constructed of thirds and seconds only. And of course there's another 2 sets which will have also a 4th in them, or a 5th. But I'll do those in a later lesson. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to play the first example. All my examples are in the key of C, and it's just a structure that I'm moving through the scale on the middle set of strings. So the first example sounds like this. And the second example sounds like this. And the first thing you want to do is, of course, just to practice playing them and getting a little bit used to how that is, because they're stretchy, and you might not want to start with this exercise all the way down here. Start higher and then just move higher on the neck. The higher you are on the neck, the easier it gets, of course, because the stretching is a lot less. So once you have these chords in your fingers, you can start looking at, well, how can I put them to use? And I think part of that is probably like if you play any voicing, well, this one for instance, and then try to listen for like what might it be, so you can put any root under it. In this case, the obvious place to start, since it's a voicing in the key of C, try out all the notes in C. So it's a fairly clear C major 7. It's actually also a fairly good B7 sus 4 flat 9, or an A minor 7. Could be an F, I guess, with a sharp 11. So try and mess around with it, see what you think it sounds like. It doesn't really sound like an E minor chord to me. It sounds like a D sus actually. So of course that's one way of doing it. The other thing is that when you start playing them, because they're 3-note voicings, it's kind of okay. It's kind of easy to still just voice lead them and see where the notes want to go if you're in a progression, which is going to be the second part of this lesson. Just some examples on how to use those in these voicings in 2-5 in C, 2-5-1 in C, with an also dominant, just to get a few different scales in play. So the first example sounds like this. So quite straightforward with D minor 7. It's C, E and F, so you get the 7th, the 3rd and a 9. On the G7 altered, I'm playing an incomplete voicing in the sense that I don't have a 7, but I do have the 3rd and a flat 13 and a sharp 9. And then I'm actually resolving that by just moving up a half step, and then I have like a complete C major voicing with a C, a B and the E. The second example sounds like this. So again, I'm using sort of a fairly obvious D minor 7 with a 9, and then I'm actually just voice leading that from by moving 2 of the notes down a half step. So I get a G7 with a flat 13. Then I add this D flat on top of that. Basically because I just have a finger free, I guess, and it sounds kind of good. And then I resolve that to this C major 7 voicing, which is in fact a drop 2 E minor. So the third example sounds like this. So the D minor part of that is quite straightforward. It's very similar to the other ones, except that I'm starting with a voicing that has the root instead of the 9, but I go up to the 9 to get the same thing. And then I'm moving that up when I'm playing on the G7. So that means that you get this voicing, which has a flat 13, flat 9 and the root, which moves down to the 7th. But the reason why you get away with that is that we already sort of stated that we're in the key of C. So just introducing all these altered notes, so that would be the flat 13, the flat 9, is already giving us the idea that okay, this is an altered dominant and it needs to resolve, and we resolve it to this voicing, which is sort of a C major with a 9. The other thing that is worth mentioning about this is of course that we have this inner voice movement, which is something that sounds kind of nice. So we have a melody on top, of course, and then in the middle of the chord we have this melody. So the fourth example is also using this inner voice movement, and is also introducing another voicing for the D minor 7. So you get this. So the voicing we have for the D minor 7 is this voicing, which has a 9 instead of the 7th, but still works quite well. And then I'm resolving that down to the 9 down to a root, like this. And then I'm sort of doing the reverse of what I did in the previous example on the G7 altered, going to the C major, which is also the same C major. The fifth line sounds like this. So basically the only thing that's this type of voicing in this is in fact the first part of the D minor. Again, I'm using this thing that if you play it like this, you can add a note on top of it. I think all my three part voicings, I use them because I can sort of add stuff on top or under or mess with it like that, and that's an aspect that I also wanted to sort of have in some of the examples. So that, and even if it's sort of going away from what the topic is, it's also just to show how I use it. And maybe also just to give an idea like, okay, you need to look for these kind of things too. So straightforward D minor 9, putting the root on top, and then going to this up 2 voicing of a G7 altered, and then this voicing for a C major 7, which is another kind of incomplete voicing because it's upper structure triad, so it's a G triad and a C note, which together gives you this sort of open C major sound. We don't really need to hear the third because in the context we'll still hear it as a major chord. So that was a few examples on how I use these types of voicings. I'll try to make another lesson where I also use the other 2 sets and try to mix it up and get a bit further with how you can use this. I think it's something that I hear a lot in Schofields and also in Bill Frisell's playing, probably because sometimes you really want to have this sound. In your voicings. And then you end up doing this because that's a flexible and a practical way to do that. Of course you need to work a bit at it, and you also need to watch out that you don't strain your hands when you're practicing this, because they're kind of hard to tackle in the beginning, but if you start high on the neck and slowly, then you should get there. I think they're really nice sounds, and actually also you find them because they're not only found in jazz, but you'll also hear Hendrix use this once in a while. It's in the Intro to Little Wing. Oddly enough, Killswitch Engage is using it quite often. So it's used in a lot of styles also. In any case, I hope that you can use the stuff that I talked about here. If you like the lesson, then feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then you can keep up to date with new lessons. You can also go to my website and subscribe to my newsletter there. All the examples that I presented here and went through are on my website as a PDF you can download and look at. If you have any comments, then feel free to leave them on the video, or connect with me on Google+, Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, and let me know there. Also, any suggestions for lessons are very welcome. It's always nice to hear what you guys would like to hear me talk about. Yeah, so until next time, and thank you for watching.